Have you ever wondered why some people seem born with talents they never learned, while others struggle despite their best efforts? What if a 2,500-year-old text holds the key to understanding life's apparent injustices? If this topic interests you, stay with me for a clear overview. The Bhagavad Gita offers a different explanation. Your current life isn't a random chance or divine favoritism. It's one chapter in a much longer story you've been writing across lifetimes. Today we'll explore how karma and reincarnation work as natural laws, not mystical beliefs, explaining why your soul never truly dies. What if your life is not a one-off, but a chapter in a much longer book? The answer begins with a story that changed everything. Picture this scene. The greatest warrior of his time stands frozen on a battlefield, surrounded by armies ready for war. His name is Arjuna, and he's facing the most important battle of his life. The Bhagavad Gita is part of the larger epic, the Mahabharata, and this moment captures something we all recognize. As Arjuna looks across the field, he sees his own teachers, cousins, and loved ones lined up as enemies. His bow slips from his hands. You know that feeling when life presents you with impossible choices? When doing what seems right hurts people you care about? When the world feels fundamentally unfair and you don't know how to move forward? Arjuna's crisis goes deeper than military strategy. He's asking the same questions that keep you awake at night. Why do good people suffer while others who seem selfish prosper? Why does life feel so random and unfair? His charioteer Krishna could have offered tactical advice or motivational speeches. Instead, Krishna does something unexpected. He challenges Arjuna's assumptions about death being final and identity being limited to the body. Not just about war or duty, but about who we really are. You face this same confusion every day. You watch someone who works hard lose their job while someone who barely tries gets promoted. You see people born into wealth and opportunity while others start life with every disadvantage. You witness good people facing tragedy while others seem untouched by suffering. These experiences create the same paralysis Arjuna felt. You want to act, to make choices, to move forward with your life. But when the world seems so unfair and random, how do you know what's right? How do you make sense of it all? Krishna's response begins with a statement so radical it changes everything. He tells Arjuna that his entire understanding of death is wrong, that what he thinks he knows about identity is backwards, that the people he's worried about killing cannot actually be destroyed. This isn't just ancient philosophy. Krishna is addressing the root of every frustration you have with life's apparent unfairness. The reason good people suffer. The reason bad people prosper. The reason life feels random and meaningless. What if everything you believe about fairness, death, and who you really are is based on a fundamental misunderstanding? What if the reason life seems unfair is because you're only seeing one small piece of a much larger picture? Krishna begins to reveal that picture with a simple but revolutionary claim. The soul is eternal and indestructible. You are not your body. You are not even your thoughts or emotions. You are something that exists beyond physical form, beyond this single lifetime, beyond what you can see with your eyes. This changes everything about how you understand life's challenges. If you are an eternal soul having temporary human experiences, then today's problems and advantages take on completely different meaning. Death becomes a transition, not an ending. Suffering becomes learning, not punishment. Success becomes one chapter, not the whole story. Krishna answers with a claim so simple it looks ordinary, and so radical it changes everything, that you are not your body. This brings us to a profound question about your true nature. What does it actually mean when Krishna says the soul is never born, nor does it ever die? This isn't just poetic language. Krishna is describing something specific about your essential self that changes how you see everything. You identify with your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, and your physical body. You think these things are you. But the Gita introduces a different concept called Atman, your essential self that exists beyond all these temporary experiences. This Atman is what remains constant while everything else changes. Consider what happens when you remember being 5 years old. Your body was completely different then, yet something in you recognizes that 5-year-old as you. Krishna compares the soul to someone changing clothes. Your soul wears bodies like you wear clothes. When your clothes become worn out or no longer fit, you change into new ones. You don't disappear when you change clothes. The same principle applies to the soul and physical bodies. When one body can no longer serve its purpose, the soul transitions to a new one. This eternal self remains unchanged through every transformation in your life. From infant to child to adult to elderly person, your body constantly changes. Your thoughts evolve. Your emotions shift. Your circumstances transform. But your essential self, your awareness, your capacity to experience stays constant. Notice how this reframes loss and grief. When someone close to you dies, their physical body stops functioning. Their personality and memories seem to disappear. But their essential self, their awareness itself, continues. The relationship changes form, but the connection at the deepest level remains unbroken. Science shows us that matter and energy never truly disappear. They transform from one state to another. Water becomes vapor, becomes cloud, becomes rain, becomes ocean. The same molecules cycle endlessly through different forms. Your consciousness follows this same pattern of transformation without destruction. Your physical body will eventually stop working. Your current personality and memories belong to this particular lifetime. But your capacity to be aware, to experience, to know, this core aspect of you exists beyond physical death. It's what you were before birth and what you remain after death. This understanding transforms how you relate to your current circumstances. Your successes and failures, your joys and sorrows, your advantages and challenges, all become temporary experiences happening to an eternal self. They matter for your growth and learning, but they don't define your essential nature. When you recognize your indestructible core, fear of death loses its grip. You realize you've survived every change, every loss, every ending you've experienced so far. Your essential self has never been threatened by any circumstance, no matter how difficult or painful. This doesn't minimize the reality of suffering or make current challenges unimportant. Your experiences matter deeply for your development and understanding. But knowing your essential nature transcends all temporary circumstances provides an unshakable foundation of security. Your soul's immortality means that what you truly are cannot be damaged, diminished, or destroyed by any external event. Every experience becomes an opportunity for this eternal self to learn, grow, and evolve through different forms and lifetimes. Consider who recognizes that 5-year-old as you, then ask, if that recognition survives, where does it go when the body changes? That awareness continues its journey through different forms, following patterns we see everywhere in nature. What if reincarnation operates like gravity, not as belief, but as natural law? This shifts everything about how you approach the concept. You don't need faith to accept that objects fall toward Earth. Gravity works whether you believe in it or not. The same principle applies to consciousness moving from one body to another. Many modern materialist views treat consciousness as tied to brain activity. This creates a massive problem. If awareness simply disappears at death, then the universe wastes every lesson you've learned, every skill you've developed, every relationship you've built. Everything you've become just vanishes. But nature doesn't work this way anywhere else. Look around you. Nothing in the natural world truly ends. It transforms. Water evaporates from oceans, becomes clouds, falls as rain, flows through rivers and returns to the sea. The same water molecules cycle endlessly through different forms. Seasons repeat in endless loops. Spring growth, summer abundance, autumn harvest, winter rest, then spring again. Your consciousness follows this same natural pattern. The awareness that experiences life through your current body doesn't disappear when that body stops functioning. It transitions to a new form, just like water changing from liquid to vapor to ice. Same essential substance, different expression. This is an analogy to help understand continuity. It is not a scientific proof, but a way to think about transformation. This explains something that puzzles many people. Why do some children show talents or knowledge they never learned? Why do you feel instant connections with certain places or people? Why do some skills come naturally while others remain difficult despite practice? These patterns make sense when consciousness carries forward from previous experiences. Different lifetimes allow for experiences impossible in a single existence. One lifetime might focus on learning compassion through serving others. Another might develop courage through facing fears. Some lives emphasize intellectual growth, others emotional development, others physical mastery. Each provides opportunities that wouldn't fit into a single human lifespan. Consider what you need to become a complete person. You need experiences of wealth and poverty, strength and vulnerability, leading and following, teaching and learning, loving and losing. No single lifetime contains room for all these lessons. But multiple lifetimes provide the framework for complete development. Consciousness, like energy, transforms but never disappears. Your awareness operates under the same law. The capacity to know, to experience, to be conscious, this fundamental quality continues beyond any individual brain or body. Reincarnation provides the framework needed for karma to operate across time. Actions in one lifetime create consequences that may not appear until later lives. Skills developed in previous existences carry forward as natural talents. Relationships begun in one era continue in different forms across multiple lifetimes. This natural law allows the soul to continue learning and evolving through multiple experiences. Each life becomes one semester in an eternal education. Death becomes graduation from one grade level, not the end of learning. Every challenge becomes a curriculum designed for your specific growth needs. If consciousness returns, what decides the shape of the next life? That question brings us to karma. Karma describes cause and effect. It means your choices matter, not that you have no choice. Why do some people seem to glide through life while others face constant obstacles despite good intentions? The answer lies in understanding karma, not as divine punishment or reward, but as this natural law operating across lifetimes. Every thought, action, and intention creates consequences that ripple forward through time. Your current circumstances reflect seeds planted not just in this life, but in previous existences. That person who seems to have everything handed to them may be experiencing the fruits of generous actions from past lives. The person struggling despite their best efforts may be working through the results of previous choices. Think of your thoughts, actions, and intentions as seeds. When you plant an apple seed, you don't get apples immediately. The seed needs time to sprout, grow into a tree, and eventually bear fruit. Your karmic seeds follow the same pattern. Some ripen quickly within this lifetime. Others take multiple lifetimes to mature and manifest as experiences. This explains patterns you've noticed in your own life. Why certain skills come naturally while others remain difficult despite practice. Why you feel drawn to specific places, activities, or types of people. Why some challenges keep appearing no matter how hard you try to avoid them. These patterns carry forward from previous lifetimes as karmic imprints. Your natural talents represent positive seeds from past lives coming to fruition. That musician who plays beautifully from childhood cultivated that ability across multiple lifetimes. The person with natural leadership skills developed those qualities through previous experiences. Even your fears and challenges reflect karmic patterns seeking resolution. Pause and reflect on one pattern you keep repeating. What small change might plant a different seed? Understanding karma transforms victim mentality into empowered choice-making. When you realize your current circumstances stem from previous choices, you stop seeing yourself as powerless. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What can I learn from this experience?" And, "How do I want to respond?" Every moment presents opportunities to plant seeds for future experiences. Choose thoughts of compassion over judgment. Act with generosity instead of selfishness. Respond with patience rather than anger. These choices create positive karmic imprints that will manifest as favorable circumstances in this life or future ones. You become the author of your own story across lifetimes. Past choices created present circumstances. Current choices shape future experiences. This perspective gives meaning to every interaction, every decision, every response to life's challenges. Karma reveals life as a continuous story where nothing is wasted and everything serves your evolution. Bad experiences become opportunities to balance previous actions. Good experiences reward past positive choices. Challenges become curriculum designed for your specific growth needs. But here's something that might surprise you. Even good karma keeps you bound to this cycle of death and rebirth. The question becomes, what happens when someone finally learns all the lessons and completes their journey? The Gita calls this state moksha, liberation from the endless cycle of death and rebirth. This represents the ultimate goal beyond all the lessons karma teaches through multiple lifetimes. Here's what creates a problem for most people. Even good karma keeps you bound to the cycle. When you act with positive intentions but remain attached to the results, you create good karma that must be experienced. Think of it like planting seeds in a garden because you demand a specific harvest. The attachment itself pulls you back for another lifetime to experience those results. The solution requires dissolving the ego-driven desires that fuel reincarnation itself. The Gita presents 3 paths that accomplish this dissolution: karma yoga, selfless action; bhakti yoga, devotion; jnana yoga, wisdom. Each path works by removing your attachment to outcomes while you continue taking action. Karma yoga focuses on performing your duties and responsibilities while releasing attachment to whether you succeed or fail. You plant seeds because planting seeds is the right action, not because you demand a specific harvest. You do the work without clinging to the results. Bhakti yoga emphasizes devotion and surrender. You direct all your actions towards something greater than your personal desires. This dissolves the ego by shifting focus from what you want to what serves the larger whole. Your actions become offerings rather than attempts to gain something for yourself. Jnana Yoga works through wisdom and understanding. You realize the temporary nature of all experiences and the eternal nature of your true self. This knowledge naturally reduces attachment because you see through the illusion that external circumstances define your identity or happiness. All three paths converge on the same principle, acting without attachment to results. This doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. You continue making choices, working toward goals, and caring about outcomes. But you hold these things lightly instead of gripping them desperately. When you act without attachment, you avoid creating new karmic bonds. Your actions become clean and free because they arise from wisdom rather than desire or fear. Over time, this approach dissolves existing karmic patterns and prevents new ones from forming. Try one small practice. Do your task and release the outcome. Treat results as offerings, not trophies. Liberation isn't escape from life, but freedom within it. You continue living, working, relating to others, and experiencing all aspects of human existence. But you do so without the fear, anxiety, and desperate seeking that characterize ego-driven action. You engage fully while remaining internally free. Consider what changes when you act without attachment. You take risks without fear of failure because your identity doesn't depend on success. You give generously without expecting anything in return because giving itself becomes the reward. You face challenges without despair because difficulties become opportunities for growth rather than threats to your happiness. Moksha represents your soul's return to its true nature, pure awareness beyond all temporary experiences. This state transcends the limitations of individual personality and merges with universal consciousness. You realize what you've always been beneath all the roles, relationships, and circumstances that seem to define you. Liberation transforms action from ego-driven pursuit to divine service. Every choice becomes an expression of wisdom rather than an attempt to satisfy personal desires. This shift ends the cycle of rebirth because there's no longer any karmic residue pulling the soul back into physical form. This ancient solution changes how you live today. How does knowing your soul is eternal change the way you live today? This shift in understanding creates immediate changes in how you approach every aspect of daily life. You stop seeing death as the ultimate threat and failure as permanent damage. Instead, both become temporary experiences within your soul's endless journey. Consider what happens when you face a major setback. Losing a job, ending a relationship, or facing illness creates intense fear when you believe this life is all you have. But when you understand your essential self continues beyond physical death, these challenges become stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Your soul is gathering experiences across lifetimes, and each difficulty teaches something valuable for your growth. This perspective transforms how you handle anxiety about mortality. Fear of death drives many of your daily worries. You rush through life trying to accomplish everything before time runs out. You cling to relationships, possessions, and achievements because you believe losing them means losing everything. Understanding soul immortality reduces this desperate urgency. You still care about your relationships and goals, but you hold them more gently. When someone close to you dies, grief feels different through this lens. You still experience sadness and loss because relationships change form. But the crushing finality disappears. You realize their essential self continues, and your connection with them exists beyond physical presence. Death becomes transition rather than ending. Your career choices shift when you see work as one classroom in an eternal education. Instead of focusing only on money, status, or security, you consider what this job teaches your soul. Daily interactions take on new meaning when you recognize everyone around you as eternal souls having temporary human experiences. You begin planting positive karmic seeds consciously in everyday life. Choose thoughts of understanding over judgment when someone frustrates you. Respond with generosity instead of selfishness when opportunities arise. Act with kindness even when no one is watching. These choices create favorable conditions for future experiences, either in this lifetime or the next. Here's one simple practice you can try today. When a difficulty arises, pause, take 3 breaths, then choose one compassionate response. This small shift plants positive seeds while helping you act with detachment from immediate results. This perspective suggests your life may be one part of a longer journey. You realize you may have shared previous lifetimes with certain people, explaining instant connections or challenging dynamics. This knowledge encourages working through difficulties rather than avoiding them. Every relationship becomes an opportunity for mutual growth and healing. Your response to life's apparent unfairness changes completely. When you see someone with advantages you lack, you understand they may be experiencing the fruits of previous positive actions. When you face obstacles despite good intentions, you recognize opportunities to balance past karma and develop strength. Nothing feels random anymore because everything serves your soul's evolution. Every experience becomes sacred when viewed through this lens. Ordinary moments transform into classrooms. Challenges become curriculum designed for your specific growth needs. Successes become rewards for past positive choices. Life itself becomes a precious opportunity for spiritual development. The question shifts from, "Will I live again?" to, "How will I live now?" This moment becomes infinitely important because your choices create the conditions for future experiences. If life is a classroom for the soul, what will you study next? We'll bring this into focus in the close. The Gita reveals 3 core truths that transform how you understand existence. Your soul is immortal and indestructible. Karma operates as cause and effect across lifetimes, making every choice meaningful. Liberation from the cycle of rebirth becomes possible through detached action. Your current life isn't random chance. It's one chapter in an eternal story you're actively writing with every choice you make. Nothing is ever truly lost. Every relationship continues beyond physical form. Every lesson learned carries forward. If this helped, subscribe for more calm, evidence-minded overviews. If you found this useful, join the next video. Moksha, escaping the cycle of rebirth once and for all. How will you live now?